Welcome to We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by my friends at InvestYrefy.com. Invest in America like I do, and by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. Speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Epoch Times, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, and Birch Gold. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And be sure to patronize our sponsors. And if you don't patronize our sponsors, well... we know where you live. Now, I'm not the only one who thinks the ABC moderators gang-tackled former President Trump.
Again, I appreciate the moderators calling him out on this, re-questioning him on it, making it clear that he's not lost. But look, this guy is a threat. This is going to be a close election. We know it comes down to the battleground states.
David Muir didn't hesitate to say, I went back and watched the tape. You didn't sound sarcastic to me when you said, I lost by a whisker. Kamala got Trump on three sides of whether or not he won in 2020. He said, I won. And then he said, I said sarcastically that I lost by a whisker, and then David Muir ended it by saying, no, that wasn't sarcastic. So what the American people heard was Trump on three sides of the outcome of 2020. And David Muir and Lindsey Davis played an important role in that.
Let's hear it for the moderators.
Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically. You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker, we didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them Republican.
No judge looked at it.
And said
they
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread
standing.
fraud.
That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality.
President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. Thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse
President
me,
Harris,
the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program. It's got to be smart. We got to do it the right way.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote-unquote assault weapons?
I do believe that we need to do buyback.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went.
Where do you stand on defund the police?
Look, right. So here's the thing. Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. And when you have many cities that have 1/3 of their entire city budget focused on policing, we know that is not the smart way and the best way or the right way to achieve safety. For too long, the status quo thinking has been you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong. And then also, again, what we need to do about demilitarizing our schools and taking police officers out of schools. On that point, Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
Mexico has taken, over a period of 30 years, 34% of the automobile manufacturing business in our country. Think of it, went to Mexico. China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
Do you in any way have any plans whatsoever, if reelected president, to abuse power, to break the law, to use the government to go after people?
You mean like they're using right now?
You would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border and I want to drill.
That's
drill,
not
drill.
That's not retribution.
I'm going to be, you know, he keeps, we love this guy. He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one. We're closing the border and we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator.
Hi, folks. Do you trust this economy? What if you could receive a strong fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed? And what if you were in control? You could turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose. What if your interest was compounded daily, you were paid monthly, and there were absolutely no fees? And what if you could have peace of mind because there was no attack on your principal if you ever needed your money back? Well, folks, there is an investment with all of these features. Investors all over the country are earning a high fixed rate of return with Yrefy, and they don't care about what happens with the stock market or the Fed. And best of all, they receive their statement every month with no surprises. Would you like some more information? Just call 877-80-INVEST. That's 877-80-INVEST. Or log on to investyrefy.com. That's investyrefy.com. Yrefy, do well by doing good. But out of the gate, the very first question couldn't have been more simple. Easy question. Are Americans better off now than 4 years ago? 40-year high inflation, 50% higher gas prices. Average family of four spends $1,200 a month. I kid you not, than it spent 4 years ago. Is that family making $1,200 a month more money to offset that increase? Hell no. Rent higher, mortgage higher. Come on.
Rent is too damn high. My mustache and haircut is too damn fly. I'm on a mission again to give the people my word. The rent around here is too damn absurd. Rent and the deficit is too damn high.
Mortgage rates higher. Like I said, rent higher. Food prices 21% higher. David Muir could have said, you know, some people like Trump say people are better off. When you hear people like Trump say that, what's your reaction? But that's not how Muir put it. He put it very bluntly. Are people better off?
I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
The problem is real simple. Overwhelmingly, Americans believe we are on the wrong track. So the answer to that very simple question, Kamala Harris, is no, unless you are an illegal alien.
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy.
What? Middle-class kid? Her parents met at UC Berkeley. Mom became a biochemist. Dad became an economics professor at Stanford. And Kamala's non-answer to the question about whether people are better off, she inadvertently admits she had somebody who lived with us. I think we call that a nanny. What middle-class family has a live-in nanny?
Answer my question!
My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner.
Kamala, please.
Answer my question! The question, jerk!
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions.
She didn't answer the question because she couldn't answer the question. Either people are better off or they're not. And given that she claims she's the last person in the room for every decision Joe Biden has made, she owns the inflation. She owns the gas prices. She's even praised Bidenomics.
President Biden and I took office, we decided to invest in the working people of America, to create millions of jobs. And as today's jobs numbers make clear, Bidenomics is working.
I will not allow you to fail. Under my watch, I will not allow you to fail. As God, as my witness, we will not fail. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yeah.
It's okay, I know what I'm doing. I know the thing is out of the thing. This can come out, this stays like this. Okay. Are you with me? Yes! Yes! Are you with me? Yes! Yes! Help! Okay, that came out now for real. Wait. No, it's okay, I got 10 seconds with these sons of I got him. Wait a second.
Wait. My goodness, she did not answer the question. Now, honestly, it was a fastball, waist high, right over the plate. And the first thing Donald Trump should have said is, notice she didn't answer. Instead, here's what Trump said.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation has, which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
No. Donald Trump should have said, I'm sorry. Did you notice she did not answer the question? And she can't answer the question. She can't justify the 9% inflation. She can't justify how it was 1.4% when I turned it over. She can't justify the 50% higher gas prices. She can't justify the $1,200 a month more a family of four is spending every single month compared to 4 years ago. She can't justify the 12 million illegal aliens in the country, which will have an impact on the economy. And she can't do it. Why? Because she said, Bidenomics is working. That's why she didn't answer the question. That's what he should have said. Her answer was all style and no substance.
I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now.
Yeah.
But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country. We need you to be Mamala of the country. Mamala.
Yes, we know it's a big fluffy
Talk
bun.
to the manager.
It is the manager.
Where's the beef?
He's putting us under the supervisor.
If you ask me, which you didn't, we should call the owner.
We need you to be Mamala of the country. Mamala.
We've got the owner.
Hello? Where's the beef?
Mamala.
Kind of people never ask, where's the beef?
I don't think there's anybody there. I really don't.
If you weren't following the news, a massive hit to the U.S. dollar came in June when Saudi Arabia did not renew its 50-year petrodollar deal with the U.S. You see, since 1974, Saudi Arabia has sold oil solely in U.S. dollars. And that was huge to our global economic dominance. Now they want options other than the U.S. dollar. So I ask you, if there is less demand for the dollar, what happens to the dollar? Look, it's reasons like this that Americans turn to Birch Gold Group. For over 20 years, Birch Gold has helped tens of thousands of Americans protect their savings by converting an IRA or 401k into an IRA into physical gold. To learn more, visit LarryForGold.com and claim your free, no-obligation info kit on gold. Again, visit LarryForGold.com. Birch Gold has earned my trust with their education-first approach, their thousands of happy customers, and their countless 5-star reviews. Protect your savings with gold before the dollar plunges any further. Visit LarryForGold.com today. That's LarryForGold.com today. Harris said Goldman Sachs touted her economic proposals?
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit.
But the CEO of Goldman Sachs said, no, we didn't. We're not backing her economic agenda.
Not sure if you had a chance to see it or not. Your own economic team, of course, has made news of late, suggesting that the bigger boost to growth would come from the Harris economic plan, at least over the first couple of years. She mentioned it last night. You feel the same?
So that report, which was mentioned last night in the debate, came from an independent analyst. And it's interesting, Scott. I think a lot more has been made of this than should be. What the report did is it looked at a handful of policy issues that have been put out by both sides, and it tried to model their impact on GDP growth. And the reason I say a bigger deal's been made of it is what it showed is the difference between the sets of policies that they put forward was about 0.2%. Okay, so economy grows. Okay, if you took these particular sets of policies they looked at, and by the way, we have no idea whether these policies, these things that are talked about, will ultimately be implemented, what was the growth impact? And the differential was 0.2%. So, you know, I think our clients are trying to look at what's going on from a policy perspective and make judgments. I think this blew up into something that's bigger than what it was intended to be.
And about the 16 Nobel laureates in economics who support her economic proposals?
16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
Well,
yeah, I would say that was a swing and a miss, although, you know, she did the best she could because she's got a rotten hand, right? I mean, the fact is that to answer the question, are middle-class people better off than they were 4 years ago? You and I and everyone listening to the show knows the answer to that question. It's hell no. They're not better off. In fact, the Census Bureau just yesterday came up with the report. They're the official, you know, referee on this. They found that the average family has lost income since 2019, since before the COVID. And most of those losses were when Joe Biden was in the White House and Kamala Harris was the vice president. And I do want voters, when they go into the voting booth in November or before that, to ask the question, gee, am I better off? One other quick thing, Larry, this idea that, you know, Trump has a sales tax. I'm not a big, as you know me, I'm not a big fan of the tariff. But, my God, what Trump should have said is, like, you had a 20% sales tax. Right. And that 20% sales tax is the increase in prices I pay every time I go to the grocery store, every time I go to the gas pump, every time I pay my mortgage. You're paying the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris sales tax because that's what inflation is. It's a tax.
I'm talking to Stephen Moore, economist. Stephen, what is your reaction when you hear time and time again, whether from Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, 16 Nobel laureates in economics have supported my plan? Talk to me about that.
Well, here's the thing that's really funny about this. I know a lot about this, by the way, because these are the exact 16 economists. And by the way, she's right. I think 4 or 5 of them have Nobel Prizes. These are the ones, do you remember this, Larry, back when Biden came up with his Build Back Better bill or whatever it is? I can't remember what these things were called. It was $4 and $5 trillion of spending. And I don't know if you recall this, but these same 14, 15 economists wrote a letter in the New York Times saying, don't worry, Joe Biden's spending plan will not cause inflation. And they wrote that. And they said, don't worry, it's not going to cause inflation. Well, then we have the worst inflation in 40 years. Now, Larry, don't you think maybe if you got something that wrong, you should maybe send your PhD back and say, I don't know what I'm talking about? And now those same economists are the one who's saying, oh, no, It's Donald Trump that's the danger to the economy, not Joe Biden. The fact is that these are ideologues. They're not people who know anything about economics.
And, Stephen, many of these same 15 or 16 were trashing Donald Trump's economic plan when he came in, which gave us this wonderful economy, very low inflation. They were saying that the opposite was going to happen. So, again, not a real good track record. Apart from that, and this was controversial.
I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well.
Notice the shocked expression on Kamala Harris's face. But her father was a Marxist. According to People magazine, quote, Donald Harris was described as a Marxian economist by the Stanford Daily in 1974, was asked to remain at the school as a full-time professor in 1975, end of quote.
Damn!
Speaking of being shocked, this CNN host was gobsmacked by finding out what Kamala Harris has supported in the past.
So in 2019, in what K-File found, she said she would cut funding to ICE, writing, quote, our immigrant detention system is out of control, and I believe we must end the unfair incarceration of thousands of individuals, families, and children. I was one of the first senators after President Trump was elected to advocate for a decrease in funding to ICE. Well, now, of course, she's touting the Biden administration's executive order to crack down on the border. K-File's Andrew Kaczynski joins me now. Andrew, that's pretty incredible on its own when you're talking about what you found here on ICE. What else did you find?
Yeah, and this was a questionnaire that she filled out for the ACLU, and this questionnaire is really an interesting snapshot in time of that 2019 Democratic primary. Kamala Harris was trying to get to the left of Bernie Sanders. She was trying to get to the left of Elizabeth Warren, and you really see that in a lot of these answers, and I want to walk our viewers through a little bit of what she said. Let's just take immigration and look at what she said here. She said on immigration, she made this open-ended pledge to end immigrant detention. She said she supported taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants. She also said she supported
taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants.
She
actually said she supported that.
She both wrote and answered in the affirmative when she was asked this. Oh. And she said she also supported it for federal prisoners. Now, she also pledged to slash immigration detention by 50%, close all family and private facilities, and decrease funding for ICE, and then the end ICE detainers with local law enforcement.
I mean, these are things that, you know, it would be hard to think that you would come up with taxpayer funding gender transitions for detained migrants, and yet this, as you say, written and verbal.
Taxpayer-supported gender surgery for illegal aliens in detention? And Trump brought this up during the debate.
She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal.
And Time magazine fact-checked it and said it was false. But wait! They re-fact-checked it and said, well, it wasn't actually false. Quote, the original version of this story, Time said, mischaracterized as false Donald Trump's statement accusing Kamala Harris of supporting transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison, end of quote. In other words...
Never mind.
Let me ask you a question. How many of you are concerned about the invasion of privacy that is currently going on by the Biden administration? Biden's DOJ is invading individuals' private messages and targeting them based on their political affiliation, and that's why I partnered with Freedom Chat, a private social messaging app that, like me, believes privacy is your fundamental human right. Freedom Chat has variable end-to-end encryption, built-in screenshot protection, no storage of messages on their servers, and no commercial use of user data. I'm such a fan of Freedom Chat, in fact, that I have created my own private channel that you can subscribe to for exclusive content, including never-seen images, videos, and posts. Simply download the app, or if you're on Android, join their waitlist. Search for my channel and subscribe. No one can see the channels that you are subscribed to or the posts that you react to. It's your own perfectly curated private news feed. Speak freely and message privately with Freedom Chat. Download the app today and subscribe to my channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. CNN's Ana Navarro, a alleged Republican, said Trump made over 30 misleading statements and Harris made only one?
Part of the reason that there was more fact-checking of Trump is because he said more misleading things or outright lies, right? We had our own folks here doing the analysis, and in the analysis, he did 33 plus lies. She had one misleading statement.
That is completely ridiculous.
That is not ridiculous.
That's another lie.
Bambucci, take it away.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Another lie. It's another lie.
Understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute. I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
Lie.
She went out. Another lie. It's another lie.
Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
It's a lie.
And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital.
It's another lie.
The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie.
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America.
Another lie.
His ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
Another lie. It's another lie.
Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
There she goes again.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
It's a lie.
On that point, Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath.
Another lie.
And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans.
It's another lie.
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
It's a lie.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Now, during the debate, Trump was later ridiculed and called racist for what he said about people eating pets in Springfield, Ohio.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying
manager.
their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
Notice Kamala Harris's expression: utter shock, amazement, disdain. And it is true, the local police in Springfield, Ohio say there are no credible reports of people eating pets. Al Sharpton suggests the very accusation is racist.
When you're telling people from a former president of the United States, giving credibility
to this outright lie, this hallucination that there are Haitian immigrants. Let's not forget it. They're not just saying immigrants. They're being specific. Haitian immigrants that are eating your animals, your pets, your cats, your dogs. You're setting up for somebody to do something that is horrific at worst. And at best, you're setting up a racist situation for Haitian Americans. And let's remember now, Katie, that Donald Trump is the same one that called Haiti and several African countries S-hole countries. He has a fixation with black countries and black people. So he didn't just say migrants are eating your pets. Haitian migrants. Any black, anyone of color in Springfield, Ohio, looks like a Haitian walking down the street. You don't stop and take a test on their accents or look for their nationality. So this is a threat to all of us, and it should be taken as such, which is why I've been talking to Haitian leaders on how we should respond in unison, black and white.
And this MSNBC Hee Haw panelist echoed the same theme.
But I will say it plain as day. No one has said the word racism in this segment. And I think that we need to call it what it is. What Donald Trump is doing is trafficking in one of the oldest racist tropes about immigrant communities and the types of foods that they eat.
Well, it looks like this Springfield, Ohio black man is racist. And since because ducks in the park aren't exactly pets, there is no evidence of any inappropriate dining by Haitians, right?
I think it's like kind of odd that like a guy like me has to come out from doing what I do on a daily basis to have fun because I see what's going on in these streets and I see you guys just sitting up there in them comfy chairs and suits and I'm getting out here every day and I'm broadcasting this and you guys are just sitting up there in suits or something. Like I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, like, y'all can be comfortable with this. Like, I don't know, like, who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants because it's the people that's bringing them down here because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. Like, y'all get the Highway State Patrol down here every week and then y'all get like a task force for the Highway State Patrol and they look for guns and they look for dope and this and that and the fourth. That same people that y'all got riding up and down Limestone doing U-turns, pulling people over for blinkers and pulling people over for going left to center and a couple miles over. Y'all can take them same people, the Highway State Patrol, and you can take them in every single one of their silver Chargers and Dodge Durangos, and y'all can take them to Sunset, and y'all can park them right over there, and y'all can teach people how to drive since the Highway State Patrol knows so much about traffic laws and know what to do in traffic. Y'all pay them. They can go over there and teach these Haitians how to drive because it's getting I'm getting thousands of views on these, and it's going to get bigger and it's only going to get worse. And y'all sitting up there in these chairs, all y'all need to get out here and do something. Y'all making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Y'all need to put on a T-shirt and some Crocs, and then y'all need to come out here in these streets and y'all need to go out here and I'm out here before the police is. Y'all need to do something, bro. Y'all really got to stand on business. Y'all getting paid all this money just to wear a suit and sit in a chair. I think it's crazy, bro. We got to do something, bro. It's kids out here getting hurt. Only reason I even went on here and said something about it is because somebody told me they walking from the school and a Haitian almost ran into them. And who is getting paid? How much money is y'all really getting paid, to bring them over here? I know it's deeper than them. I know that's where they come from and that's what they do. That's their country. I don't know what they got going on over there, but they can't do that over here. And if y'all just getting paid from it and then y'all ain't doing nothing about it, I think that's super weird, bro. Y'all got to stand on business. Y'all got to really, step up. It's lame, bro. For real.
Thank you for your comments. They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Boom, 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 boom.
Bang, bang, bang.
And according to Reverend Sharpton, Lord knows this black American whose father is from Haiti is also racist.
My father immigrated from Haiti to the United States in the late 60s as a teenager. And I want to talk about these recent comments about the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio. First, I want to say my father and I are now estranged, but I did know him in my very, very young years. And when he immigrated, he was one person, and they weren't sending, thousands of Haitians in one area. He wasn't eating people's pets, and he didn't practice voodoo. But he did say that most of the island, the majority of the island, does practice voodoo. The reason they eat cats is for two reasons. Number one is survival. This is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. You can't just go to a food bank like you can here, or just go to McDonald's and get some free or cheap food, unless of course there's a Christian missionary there. People in the United States have a really hard time imagining that type of thing, but it is true. Second, they do animal sacrifices for their religion, voodoo. They make these animal sacrifices to these gods for different reasons. You can do your own research on this. Do I think voodoo is a demonic religion? Yes, I do. That doesn't mean that you hate these people. These people need prayer. But you can't just take over all these people from another country and expect it to work. Not to mention, it doesn't fix the problems of that country. And there's more people left in Haiti that we can bring over. It's not racist to acknowledge that this is a problem. It's not racist to talk about these things that are happening. This is not just white Americans saying this is black Americans. You can look at the people in Springfield, Ohio saying that this is happening. Y'all just want to joke about Trump and say that he's crazy for saying that this is happening instead of actually checking at all to see if this is happening. You want to make jokes about these things. Well, what if it were happening to you and your community? And no, it's beyond eating their pets, even though that is bad enough.
Americans have had enough of supporting companies that hate our values. Tired of compromise? So am I. It's time to switch to Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They are an example of putting the cause ahead of profits, and that's why I'm proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you access to all three major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch over to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our military vets and our first responder heroes. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes it easy to switch, keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. That's patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code Larry. Join me and make that switch today. patriotmobile.com/Larry, patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Paging Al Sharpton. Paging Al Sharpton.
My name is Lisa Hayes, and I am a resident of Springfield, Ohio, and I'm also a registered voter. Okay? I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm a great-grandmother. I have family here in this town. You know, it's the first time I've ever spoke at the commission meeting, and I'm going to try to make it a good talk with you. Okay, I would like to know how many of you sitting up there tonight go into the grocery stores here in the city, Walmart, here in the city, to do your shopping. I'm going to tell you, 64 years old, and I don't know what kind of label you can put on this, but I'm taking my cart down the grocery aisle, and I have 3 immigrants strapped across the aisle. seen me coming, would not budge, wouldn't even, and I said, excuse me. Maybe they didn't understand what I was saying, but I'm sure they understood that I was trying to get through that aisle. So I have no recourse now but to bust through it. I'm not afraid to do so. You know, I would like to see them have some common respect, some common decency. Do not try to bully your way through Springfield, Ohio. It's not going to work out well. Yeah, I don't believe it will work out well at all. I have a 20-year-old granddaughter who works 2 jobs, pays city tax. I have a 23-year-old grandson who also pays city tax and federal and state and all the other stuff. She works 2 jobs. She's pregnant. It took us 4 months to get Medicaid for that young lady, and she couldn't have any of her tests done. I had to come up with $150 for her very first doctor's appointment. It's $150. Then I'm told that when she does get the Medicaid, they'll back it up. Are they going to give me my $150 back? I doubt it. I doubt it. And I know that's not your problem. That's a state problem, and I will address them. I already have. The other thing is that I sat down and I decided I was going to start emailing some of the higher ups to the state. Started emailing them. Within 1 day, they called me and said that they didn't have permission to talk to me because she's 20. I said, that's okay, she'll be home at 2. That morning, she received an automated phone call that she was covered by Medicaid since August 15th. All of a sudden, now she's covered. All of a sudden, now she can get the help. But we can't get through the doors of JFS to do anything. We can't get through it. The line is so long. And that's what we have done here in the city. We have just brought too many daggone people to come in here and be able to apply for free stuff. And here we are working, paying those taxes every week for what? What? So she can't get any help? So we can't get through the doors of Social Security so I can file for retirement? Doors are too, it's packed up there all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamala Harris.
That is why, also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS.
Hold up. Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. I forgot.
Yeah. You see, we're putting the cover sheets on all TPS reports now before they go out. Did you see the memo about this?
We gave TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants, 55,000. And then more recently, we extended temporary protected status to over 100,000 Haitian migrants for that very reason, that they need support, they need protection.
And Lord knows, as NBC Florida local news found back in 2012, illegals are not voting, right?
It could be very serious. It could change the whole complexion of an election.
2 election supervisors take action tonight after an NBC2 investigation uncovers flawed record-keeping and human error, allowing people who are not citizens of the United States to vote.
NBC2 investigator Andy Parati has been working on this story now for more than 2 months.
He joins us live from the Lee County Election Center. Andy?
Well, Lindsay, we don't know how widespread this problem is because elections offices don't keep track of where non-citizens live. So we decided to do something that they never tried to do before, and we found them on our own. Have you voted before?
Right. I vote every year.
Hanako Danette is not a U.S. citizen, yet the Cape Coral resident is registered to vote. Do you know that you're not supposed to vote if you're not a U.S. citizen? NBC2 found Danette after reviewing her jury excusal form. She told the clerk of court she couldn't serve because she wasn't a U.S. citizen. But we found her name and nearly 100 others like her in the database of Florida registered voters. You have no idea why you're registered to vote?
I have no idea. I mean, how am I supposed to know? Go driver's license facilities or anything. I don't know.
This Naples woman didn't want to show her face. While she doesn't know how she was registered, she does know how to vote. Records show she voted 6 times in elections dating back 11 years.
I know you cannot vote before you become a citizen, so I never tried to do anything like that.
Samuel Lincoln is not a U.S. citizen either. The Jamaican national says he doesn't know how he ended up registered to vote. So this is all a big mistake.
So that's their mistake, that's not mine.
But we obtained a copy of his 2007 voter registration application. It's clearly marked U.S. citizen.
And that is under oath, that document. They're attesting that it is in fact true. And by falsifying it, it's a third-degree felony.
County supervisors of elections tell me they have no way to verify citizenship. Under the 1992 motor voter law, they're not required to ask for proof.
We have no policing authority. We don't have any way of bouncing that information off of any other database that would give us that information.
Does that need to change?
I think it needs to be looked at.
Until that happens, the only way supervisors of elections can investigate voter fraud is if they get a tip.
It looks like these individuals lied on your documents.
So that's what our list became. After showing them nearly 100 names we compiled, both elections offices sent letters to each voter asking them to verify citizenship.
It could be very serious. It could change the whole complexion of an election.
It's important to note that we don't know whether they were here legally or not, only that they're not U.S. citizens. It takes 30 days. They have 30 days to respond to those letters to verify their citizenship. If they don't, they'll be taken off the voter rolls. Back to you.
Andy, quick question for you. We know in Florida all too well that it can only take one vote and that can make a difference. But are the supervisors changing their policies to make sure that the people who are not allowed to vote, that they don't vote?
Based on our investigation, both elections offices plan to request jury excusal forms from clerk of courts every single time they get one that says not U.S. citizen. They'll basically do what we did.
Do you ever wake up and realize your life has no purpose?
Do I have a death wish? Morgan asked. Maybe I did. I thought this would be our final run ever. We had made millions and millions of dollars, but God had other plans.
Peter Lowe, the one-time drug dealer turned pastor, along with 2 others, will be executed at 12 midnight local time.
You can be in heaven or you can be in hell. The choice is yours. I found Christ in here, and he forgave me.
My name is Peter Lowe, and I will be executed in 2 hours.
Jesus is for free, and salvation is a gift. Do you believe in Jesus?
During the debate, Trump railed about the illegal aliens, including illegal alien criminals Biden-Harris let in.
I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar, remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, well, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world, and crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
I'm old enough to remember when this gentleman who spoke at the DNC in Chicago used to feel the same way about illegal aliens.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace, as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
notice the applause. And remember what Jay Johnson, Obama's DHS secretary, said about all these illegal aliens that have come in under Harris Biden?
Most Americans want to be fair and treat in a humane way those who have migrated here, who are desperate, who are fleeing really bad conditions. We want to take care of people who came here as children. We want to take care of the dreamers. But Americans also want secure borders. They want to get control of illegal migration. And that's true, I know, from Laredo, Texas to Detroit, Michigan. And so when we talk about deprioritizing the deportation of those apprehended at the border or decriminalizing illegal immigration, I know that we're going way too far to the left of the American consensus on where we should be on this. And you just cannot have a policy where a Border Patrol agent arrests someone at the border and says, in effect, you get to stay here unless you commit a crime. Right. That just simply incentivizes more illegal immigration. We lose control of our borders. In the same vein, by taking a formal step of decriminalizing illegal migration, what we're saying as a country and as a society is we're prepared to see a lot more of this. When you decriminalize something, it's because society is prepared to see that behavior, perhaps regulated, but en masse. And I don't think that's where the American people are.
And when you've lost Bill Maher.
The California lawmakers just passed a law, it hasn't been signed by Governor Newsom, but giving government assistance to undocumented immigrants to buy houses. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration, is it not? I'm not going to say that's what the country's going to do, but that's certainly where California is.
Well, let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. But understand this about immigration. The best speech on immigration was by President Ronald Reagan. This is the last speech I will make as President of the United States. I want to communicate a message to the country I love. And he talked about the Statue of Liberty and the beacon of hope it is to the world, and what America was preeminent in the world because our door was always open, and we will cease to be preeminent when we shut the door. Now, I don't do justice to the great communicator. Google it. It's a fabulous speech. And George Herbert Walker Bush continued in that respect for the diversity of America and the rest. California's always in the lead. Maybe others will follow that lead, but that's up to those states. But we are very blessed here with beautiful diversity.
So you'd vote for this law?
Excuse me?
So you'd vote for this law?
Well, I'm not familiar with exactly what it is, but making the American dream of home ownership available to all people is something we have to do for people who are here now.
This is before you're a citizen. This is undocumented. This is for the undocumented.
Well, what I would like to do is move them to documented. The fact that we can move them to documented. One of the best things that we can do for our economy is to pass comprehensive immigration reform.
And Kamala Harris, of course, feels exactly the same way. Let them all in. Make them citizens. Make them voters, because they will vote Democrat.
We will move forward and take on the biggest issues facing our nation. For example, the issue of immigration. So I was Attorney General of a border state. I went after the transnational gangs, the drug cartels, and human traffickers. I prosecuted them in case after case, and I won. So I know what I'm talking about. We know our immigration system is broken, and we know what it takes to fix it. Comprehensive reform that includes strong border security and an earned pathway to citizenship.
We, in the last election, had the largest turnout of Latino voters in our history. And everything tells us these voters fully intend to become engaged into the elections in the future. They have tasted what it is like to participate and win, and they are not going to go away. When they voted in November, they voted overwhelmingly for progressive candidates. If we are to expand this electorate to win, the progressive community needs to solidly be on the side of immigrants. That will solidify and expand the progressive coalition for the future. We reformed the immigration laws. It puts 12 million people on the path to citizenship and eventually voters. Can you imagine if we have even the same ratio, 2 out of 3, if we have 8 million new voters that care about our issues and will be voting, we will create a governing coalition for the long term.
Now remember, Kamala Harris had a more left-wing record in 2019 than Bernie Sanders, a self-described Democrat socialist. Even Bernie Sanders, at least at one time, did not support open borders.
Open borders?
Open
borders. That's a Koch brothers proposal. The
Really?
idea, of course. I mean, that's a right-wing proposal which says essentially there is no United States.
But
Anybody
it
can,
would make a
excuse
lot
me,
of the global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that. If you believe in a nation state, or in a country called the United States, or UK, or Denmark, or any other country, you have an obligation, in my view, to do everything we can to help poor people. What right-wing people in this country would love is an open border policy. Bring in all kinds of people who work for $2 or $3 an hour. That would be great for them. I don't believe in that. I think we have to raise wages in this country. I think we have to do everything that we can to create the millions of jobs. You know what youth unemployment in the United States of America today? If you're white, a white kid, high school graduate, 33%, a Hispanic, 36%, African American, 51%. You think we should open the borders and bring in a lot of low-wage workers? Or do you think maybe we should try to get jobs for those kids?
In other words,
the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
a Real Clear Markets article said Bank of America needs to come clean about debanking practices. It wrote, and I'm quoting, "More victims of Bank of America's debanking regime have come forward, including Timothy II Project International and constitutional scholar John Eastman, a friend of mine, both debanked under similar circumstances by the nation's second largest bank. The bank's lack of transparency about cancellations that suspiciously look like they are based on viewpoint is why shareholders sought a report assessing whether the bank's policies and practices pose a risk of politicized debanking. Old Glory Bank will never debank any law-abiding customer. Our mission is the Constitution. Open an account at oldglorybank.com, and when you get your debit card in the mail, activate it, and you'll get a copy of my latest book, As Goes California, at a 50% discount. oldglorybank.com, that's oldglorybank.com. Finally, is it me, or was there a somewhat different reaction to Biden-Harris versus you-know-who?
There he is.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, white supremacist coffee lids have got to go.
So you know how those lids are, because this is, well, I'm just gonna speak, okay? So this is it. So you know how those lids on the Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of, and so I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid? So that was that conversation.
Yeah, let me be clear. Let me be clear. As a woman, there is a balance that needs to be struck between being tough and, you know, just being a raging being aggressive in policy and being a foreign being a national treasure, but, you know, also being a demon. And we gotta get that balance right.
What do you do for a living?
Lionel, glad you could make it. Can I get you a drink?
Yeah, something soft. I'm driving. Parking's an absolute nightmare around here, isn't it? Had to reverse into the tiniest of spaces. Still, I managed it. I mean, parking's not exactly brain surgery, is it? And I should know.
Why is that? Are you a doctor?
Careful. Not a doctor. I'm a brain surgeon. Big difference. Big difference. Yeah, I actually know a joke about this. What's the difference between a doctor and a brain surgeon? One's not exactly brain surgery. The other is brain surgery. So, what do you guys do?
I'm an accountant.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I could do with an accountant. Filling in those tax forms can get really confusing, can't it? Still, it's not exactly brain surgery, is it? I mean, brain surgery, believe me, is very complex. Are you an accountant too?
No, I work for a charity.
Oh, that's a very selfless job, isn't it? I really admire you. I don't think I could ever do what you do. I say that because it's emotionally draining, not because it's hard. I mean, it's not exactly brain surgery, is it? Which, as a brain surgeon, is what I do.
Lionel, here's your drink. Lionel's a brain surgeon, you know. Yeah, he mentioned it. Oh, Jeff, they keep you late at the Space Centre.
As always.
This food round. Have you met Lionel?
No, hello, Lionel.
So, Jeff, how do you earn a crust?
Well, I'm a scientist. I work mainly with rockets. It's pretty tough work. What do you do?
Why, I don't mean to boast, but I'm a brain surgeon.
Brain surgery? Not exactly rocket science, is it?
And last but not least, ruh-roh, Norm has figured out how to use X. The world will never be the same.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
And if you want some more New Norm cartoons, show some love and buy some MyPillow products at mypillow.com/norm, mypillowproduct/norm, or call 800-961-9082. Hope you enjoyed We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by my friends at investyrefy.com. Invest in America like I do, and by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat is true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. Speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Epoch Times, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, and Birch Gold. And make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And be sure to patronize our sponsors. And remember, we've got a country to save.